So namaste, good morning. We have Siddhananda with us today.
Hello.
And I thought what we'd share with you today, she's at the very end point of the path. And so what happens towards the end point of the path? What are the experiences that take place?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have put some of this out there on a few of my own videos, but it's good to just keep putting it out there. So what is happening here more is a lot of slowing down of the mind, thoughts. There's great gaps between thoughts, and thoughts have for a while felt very far away, garbled, like they're very distant, just like a tape is unwinding. And another thing that, maybe is not everyone gets, but it's what's been happening here and for a while, but now even more significantly, is the body movements are very slow. And the best way to describe how some of the movements and things are is it just really feels so air-like. It feels hollow, like even the body feels hollow.
Of the substance, all of this heavy substance is releasing its hold. And so, the further that one goes on the path, like I said, in the end, the mind stills. It's not a joke.
No.
Really, that thought, process of revolving thought and all of those things that you hear, the soap opera of your life, falls away. It really does not come up any longer. And people will always try to discount that. But it's the reality of what happens. All I can do is speak to the reality,
right.
Not the popular spin about what people want to say it is. Really, in the end point, those thoughts no longer are revolving. You don't hear any of that mind play anymore. It doesn't have to be there because that ego self, what one thought one is, absolutely falls away and implodes into that realization of that great is.
Yeah, well, certainly now is more of a dismantling of that and at a deeper level. I mean, that starts out, could start out way, way, way back, but this is now, and I haven't really talked about it much for a little while, but I'm bringing it up now because it is so quite a striking shift, although some of these symptoms and this episodic stilling as well as slowing has been there. There was another time, and I was telling Guruji about this, and this may be something that could be, against a lot of these symptoms, and I did list the symptoms on a video that I put out, and, I know since I'm not completely done, I can't speak to the final. I only speak to my own experience. Right. That's all that I can do. And, it's hard to not overwhelm. I'm not here to overwhelm or scare somebody. I'm certainly here to but I can't also lie about what this path
exactly.
is.
And it's not about padding it. It's not about making it seem something that it's not. It's about genuine experience, what exactly is happening in the moment. And as that transmission happens and as one starts to fall away and deconstruct that ego self, what is it that actually takes place?
That's right, as well as all of the happenings prior that, again, all of that you just can't discount it. It's part of it, and it's no joke, and it's no fun, really. So anyway, what happened more recently that I was, and this stilling, it seems like more in the latter part of the day, or if I'm at home or whatever. I mean, I really am going to get something, and I can't complete that action. I literally am unable to, and I'll just stand there and stare in this vacant look, and the body is also completely still, where even any movements of the body aren't taking place, and it doesn't matter if I wanted to or not. I am unable.
One falls into that samadhi state, and it's just you're not moving.
Empty.
You're just
I don't know what to say of it. It's an
but
empty.
But it's not an empty as a negative type of a thing. When you say empty, some people think that you're like in some type of a stupor, or that it's just a negative type of a thing. It's not. It's not a negative. It's what I say. It's like, that everything that's going to come into existence but hasn't yet. Pregnant void. I call it the pregnant void.
Which is a good way to put it, and I guess I describe it in those words, and you're right. I think people can't put a negative on that.
Absolutely.
And I can see how that can happen when you haven't had that experience.
Right.
And yet, what I can describe it as is vacant of that drama, and I say empty of that drama, and also, that it is a very peaceful state. It is not, I don't find it any distress there or suffering there. But then again, I am still present. I mean, I'm still conscious of the body in that state. It's not like I've gone out into something different than that. But
hasn't had that total falling away where there is no consciousness of body or conscious. It's not a nirvikalpa samadhi, not a full nirva. In a full nirvikalpa samadhi, you're not aware of your body. You're not aware of this universe. You're only aware of simply that is. Nothing else exists other than Parabrahman, or that is the absolute in a full nirvikalpa samadhi. Okay?
Yes, and laying down the other night too, there's this episodic feeling of the persona being washed away, and then, other times I go, you shouldn't be next to her, but she started this whole thing.
It's all her fault.
She always said I can blame her now. And it's a great blessing. It's the best blessing of blame, believe me. And what was I saying? No. No, but
where was I? Who am I?
really, and I don't know how how articulate I am at times. But anyway, the feeling of that persona being washed away, and also, I've had just describe a lot of pain with my hands for so many years, and a lot of times it's hard to not focus on that because they're just not working right.
Right.
How else to say it? But in that state, and then, it felt like just even the body vanishing, but then, when you go to move, it's like, I have a hand? What is that thing?
Right.
It's just very strange feeling.
And
so
one can have glimpses of that along the way. When you look in the mirror, too, you go, who is that? What is that? Type of a thing. That strange thing that's looking back. What is that? So one can have those cognitions along the way as well. But when it gets to the very end of the path, the very last few threads that need to be cut and snipped, these are the experiences that one has, in a total falling away before one, and then one of these days that last little thread's going to be snipped, and then it's going to be that, where everything has fallen away, and that ego does not remanufacture, it has no other hold, no place to go any longer.
And, I can see that, because even try as you might to think or do in that experience or move or work in the same way you're used to, it just
doesn't happen.
You're unable to.
One is unable to.
And that's the difference now, I feel, when this comes in. It doesn't matter, my usual drama, and you know your own drama. It comes up, but there that is again, you get familiar with that. But there's my own.
One's lived it for a while.
There's my own.
Few lifetimes.
That's right. And there's my own. You want to say old friend, because it's not that. It's not a friend, but it can go literally from that black to white. In terms of whatever is being done, that drama is there, and then it's not there, literally from this to that, and then there's just that pure experience. But the slowing has been, if all of it, and there is still there's spontaneous inquiry, sometimes there's conscious inquiry,
right.
And also there's, on the altar of truth I lay myself, which I have found a few times that my heart is seized with that dread of death.
Exactly.
I can feel it right here.
And that's, that's what I tell people. People think I'm joking when you say that it feels like you're absolutely going to die. It is like a death and a rebirth, 100%.
Like a crucifixion.
Like a crucifixion.
I don't know what other way to put it. You're nailed.
Exactly.
You are nailed.
You're nailed. It's
you're
like
nailed
that is a sacrifice. Yeah. You are sacrificing and laying down of your own accord that ego self. Consciously, that you're laying down that ego self to find out what is God, what is this, and then that's the sacrifice. It sacrifices their own illusion and delusion in the end. One finds out it was an illusion and a delusion in the end. But yeah, when you're going through the sacrifice, it feels very real.
Oh gosh, but I can describe, now again, the main thing that I feel like is so pronounced now is this slowing and these spaces of gaps with thoughts. For instance, again, and there may be a thought of long period of time, want, long period of time, to, that kind of, but maybe one day I want to go to the store, and you cannot complete, and that is the way that, a lot of the thoughts may come, or other times it's there and then it's gone, or, and then, in terms of movement, it's, if you saw me sometimes the evening, I'm going, or, it will not complete. Whatever intention was there, which is...
And that intention falls away. If you stop in the middle of a sentence, the rest of the sentence falls away.
Yeah. And if there's sentences inside, and also what's been happening for a long time, with the mantras, when they're said, sometimes they're verbalized and they end up being so slow, so drawn out within, and then also if they're said externally, you may begin it and then it stops, and then it can be heard inside and then slowly drawn out and dissolving. Right, into that infinity.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, but this slowing is very pronounced, and I can never, unless someone experiences this slowing beyond words, it's, thank goodness, that I do have this space now, and I'm not working in things, so I just let it be when it comes, and I don't have to rush with certain things.
Thank God that grace is there, and you can have the space now to do
which
that.
I didn't when I was raising a child.
And exactly, this is why I said, the path of Kundalini, is very difficult if you are in relationship and you have family and you have all these things that you have to do. It's very difficult to walk a Kundalini path and continue to put all those things in motion.
Well, right, and I don't know if this would happen if I had it didn't, fortunately, but maybe that's just the way things work. But if you did have a child that you're constantly needing to tend to a relationship, forget it. This is out the window. That's the bottom line. We've done it, and it is, you really have to be, and it took me quite a while, I think, because raising a child worked, and then I had a lot of physical things happen and a lot of distress and different things, and I think to get the point just settling and just, certainly the practices were going full force, but finally these conditions of just this more, let it happen.
The ability to sit there and actually have that quietude and allow that to come and surrender into that, so that full experience can finally take place. Because none is forced into this. One has to surrender into it. One surrenders consciously to it. Okay. So
that's exactly right. And so the most pronounced things was the slowing. Even last night I got up and I went to bed at 9. I was so tired, but then I got up. It was about 3, and I thought it was morning. I was ready to get dressed and stuff, and I looked at my clock, and it was 3. But anyway, I went to sit in my closet a while. Then I came, because that's where my office is. Just want to explain, I don't just go sit in the closet. But you think, boy, you're really losing it sitting on
closet / office.
/ office. There's a desk in there, okay. Anyway, and then I went, and everything seemed just, your normal crap, I want to say. And then I went to lay down, and it was so slow, just boom, like that. So slow to this. Okay, like, you know what I mean?
But
It's
the
coming
most
out now.
important thing that people need to understand is when that mind stills and slows, and eventually it's going to fall away completely.
Right.
That what remains, people think, well, then how do you think? How do you, consciousness is there. Okay, one doesn't need to have this ongoing dialogue internally to be able to have rationality and for whatever needs to come forward comes forward. It can come forward in a whole distinct knowing, okay? But it doesn't, you no longer have that internal dialogue of mental spin and delusion that's running the mind. That's gone. That soap opera is gone, and it never returns.
And that's, that's why just such gratitude for you being here to describe that in point. But, and it also brings about, so you're not freaked out by these things. It's been a long time of going through so many things and also being around Guruji and hearing that and, my own thing, your life goes on, things get done, nothing to be worried. I really don't feel in my own heart that that's it as much as, that's why, finally this is coming, because even in those states that I'm describing, really it's very peaceful. It's not it's a very...
It's a very still, exactly. No, it's alive. It's pregnant with all the life force there is in the universe, and it's just peaceful. It's calm. And like I said, even with all the drama that I go through on a daily basis, it's like a blip, momentary blip, and that's it. And one is back in that still peace, that still place.
Well, I can speak to that. Being on this path is how things don't get held here with people, with, any of us here.
Yeah.
And Guruji has been a great example of that. It doesn't matter what it is, and we just go on, and the next day we're not sitting there all consumed by it. And
right.
It doesn't happen, and people may see that as, oh, now she seems so obsessed with you. That's not it. You have to be near it. I can just tell you that's the experience. We do not hang on to things here, and Guruji has been an example. It doesn't happen. And I think, it doesn't even matter if, let's say, if someone, if you have an argument with someone, not saying within the group, but even outside, it's not hung on to.
It's a passing, it's a blip on a screen, a passing energy. That's it. That's it.
Which, helps to clear the way for just being present. And
exactly. It doesn't mean that you're blind to what's going on.
Not that.
If there's something there and it needs to be handled, one is quite capable of going out and handling it. Case in point. Okay?
Directly as it.
Exactly. Case in point, I just had recently the Nityananda cult go after my book. Okay.
Right.
Which is rather humorous in one way, because if you go to my book and you see the reviews, all the reviews are 5-star stellar ever since it came out. Nothing but positive, the most important book I've read in 30 years, one person says. And then you come in and you see and those are all verified, 100% verified people that read the book and did honest book reviews. Then you see from November 25th and a couple in December, all these negative reviews all of a sudden. Non-verified, nobody's even opened the book, and they're all from the Nityananda cult.
Oh, it's so obvious.
Saying, oh, I had somebody from my... some family members bought it, and some other people, they became lunatic, and it's depressed, and worst thing ever. It's all the same crap. And all of them from November 25th. They have, 9, I don't know, maybe 9 of them on November 25th, and then 2 more later.
The exact same day.
The same day.
Exact same thing, a little different.
All of these fake book reports from November 25th. Exactly. So it doesn't mean, that you don't see what's going. You see it, you go and handle it. I called, got a hold of Amazon and said, look, read the verified reports, and then you look at the SKUs, skewed, faked book reports and look at the date they're on.
Yeah.
Enough said.
After 10 years of the book being
10 years of the best book that's out there for Kundalini,
It's so bad.
So anyway, the point being, you can handle what needs to be handled. You're not sitting there in a stupor. No. People think that, when you say the mind is still, then it's no longer this revolving stuff, that you're sitting there in some type of stupor, or that you can't think, or that it's ridiculous.
Well, right. And, I know I'm describing at that point where, just being still of body and mind, but there's many times, too, where the mind has been still and, just brushing your teeth or whatever activity, or talking, or being encouraging, or on the phone. I mean, it's not like that's, life goes on. Things get done without that feeling of a person in there. Or...
Right. One can go in an absolute bliss state, too, when that great falling away happens. If one is sitting outside and you see a tree and the leaf is moving, all of a sudden you feel this great bliss in your heart, and you've fallen away, and all you're conscious of is the feeling of the motion of that leaf and the bliss and the vibrational element of it.
Doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much. No, you're easily amused at that point in time. But all of the action is taking place within. You're still. And the mind is still.
Such a different
But you can
thing.
feel that it's like you've become the screen where the play of existence is taking place, and you can feel that play, and you can feel that motion that's happening on that screen. And though you're not involved with it, you're watching it, and it's bliss, and it's the play of God. One says at that point, it's the play of God.
That's
and
right.
one watches that play, and it just...
Yeah, and those are good times. That kind of thing.
They're very good
it's
times.
It's nice to get some of that in, and finally, even in this episodic slowing, it's the first time, and there's been blips of bliss and being in love with creation, all of that, and in awe of it, and really in praise and devotion of it. I've had, just spontaneous, that kind of thing. But with that, I guess, emptiness that's full, maybe I'll describe it that way, and there has been actually some periods of bliss coming through that is very different than the other, and really, I can say there has been some tastes of that.
When that final thread is cut, you will enter an awe-inspiring realm of time for the next couple of years. I can tell you that's coming.
And I can tell you that some of it is already there so strongly, I can't imagine. But
when that final gets cut, you will be in such an awe-inspiring place for the next couple of years.
Wow, that just sounds like I say, because I totally understand what you're saying already, so I can't imagine that being overwhelming and great. Great.
And that great, it's very awe-inspiring for the next couple of years. You just go and your eyes are open, and everything is bliss, and everything is still, and everything is new. It's like a new creation, a new everything. For a couple of years, 2-3 years, and then finally one starts to enter that stillness where it becomes your normal state of being. It's your normal state of being. Not that it's less awe-inspiring, but it's not that big wide-eyed wonder of, wow, It becomes your normal day-to-day existence. So it becomes much more stilled and much more... But it never goes away. One never goes back into taking on that ego and the delusion. And one is ever, from that point, in moksha and liberation, and has that wisdom, that gyan, as to what it is to be awakened versus what it was to be asleep. And then at that point, after those 2-3 years, then you go, how did anything ever function in that mind that had that mental spin and drama?
It's amazing how it does. Really.
It's amazing how anybody does anything when they're in that revolving mind spin of illusion and delusion, and so many stories they tell themselves and get caught up in. and they don't have the reality. They're not speaking from that place of inner stillness and awareness of that is
Right.
that which runs like a thread through all of existence, yet is not touched by any of it. One becomes that, almost that witness to the play of God. One becomes the witness to that
You
play
say
of God.
the screen. That's
The screen. You become the
which all
screen.
plays on and through.
Exactly.
I hear that. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll take the aftermath, whatever it is. Sounds just like nothing compared to the before, but
It's total
that's
shift.
all I can say.
It's a total shift.
I'm just glad not to have, in
Exactly.
terms of here, for so many years, I'll be so glad not to have the kriyas or all the constant visions and the movements and the, constant perceptual shifts, all that has come. And fortunately, a lot of that is definitely during that slowing. None of that's there, but
Right. All that phenomena falls away. All of that phenomena falls away. You may have residual phenomena because it's slowing down, like I said. And then just before it totally slows down and blows out, you'll have one crank where it can just crank up real quick for a couple seconds, and then that's it. It's the last blowing out. Kind of like people that are getting ready to transition off the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Where
they have a quick surge of being,
one surge of
hey,
that.
they're looking okay, and then you got another 6 hours, and they're gone again.
At that point, right?
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that being a hospice
Exactly.
nurse. They rally. They call it a rally.
They have a rally, and they come back from that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then that's when they let go. Exactly.
No, thank you for, just, honestly, wanting in my heart since I was young to be free. For you just to be there, it's been so invaluable, Guruji, and all the hallmarks, all the steps, all the transitions. And,
right.
And that it's been a while since I've even brought up shifts, but it was, I'm going to do it when I know that there's definitely something very substantial shifting here.
So we will keep people informed
Definitely.
as to what takes place, and we'll continue to work on that. And
Work on it.
Work on
Kali
that,
will
as you can
continue
say.
to work on me.
Kali continues to work on her.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and it's good. Man, keep coming. So anyway.
Kali keeps doing what she needs to do. And we're so blessed with that.
With that energy.
Exactly. So blessed with that energy that helps and works in this path and takes us from the delusion to the liberation. And we will continue to share that. We're so fortunate to have somebody that's going through it now that can share exactly what it is that takes place.
That's why I wanted to put out more that I can in different progress, so that when people are going through it, they have a
guideline, something to understand what it is.
That's
For me, unfortunately, when I was going through it, there was nobody there that I could speak with. And
right, you just really have courage.
I was out on the limb by myself. I tell you.
Really. You do need to do this alone. But Guru,
you always do it alone. It's your own path, but all you can have people that are supportive around you to help you get through the transitions. But you have to do it yourself. Right. Nobody can. If anybody's telling you, any guru or anyone's telling you they can do it for you, they can't. You're the one that has to have the experiences. You're the one that has to walk through that fire and really be refined.
And that's what gives it value. That's what actually gives it something that, that you have that there is that aloneness and that quietude is something that, again, it's a direct experience there. If it's someone else's experience or something, it doesn't have that worth.
Exactly.
You can't be out of that suffering. I want to be out of it. That was the whole purpose of it.
Exactly.
So anyway.
And that's why this path is the path of, getting rid of all this drama rather than trying to create more drama.
Oh my goodness, you were saying a co-creator.
A co-creator.
No.
Yes, there is no co-creator on this path because the co-go.
There's the co-pilot.
The co
that
need
you
to
think
go.
You are.
The co-go.
That's a good thing.
Go co.
We can put that on.
Yeah, exactly. The co's got to go.
That's
exactly.
catchy.
The co's got to go. Yeah.
Co's got to go.
Co's got to go. Yeah, because you want to, if you've got a co-creator, then you got two people trying to be in the driver's seat.
No doubt.
And it's either you in the driver's seat or it's God in the driver's seat. And there is no other way around it. So in this path, one has to surrender into that. And then one, that which is that absolute, Parabrahman, however you want to say it, that is, becomes the paramount. And that which you thought was the goes.
Right, because even along the way you feel like, not a but you feel like there is a me, and then, that merciful grace, kind of a separate, or, whatever it is, or that energy, it doesn't, until it's fully blown out.
Right.
Those things play back and forth.
Exactly.
With that.
Exactly.
It's not a co-creator thing. I don't mean that's a mindset. That's a whole different
Well, that's
ballgame.
Exactly. That's
it's letting
people,
go. This is a
yeah,
path of surrender.
Yeah. The co-creator thing is they're trying to be the ones in control. I'm not letting go of control. I'll only let God think God's got control, but I'm actually the one in charge.
Yeah. I'm going to call the shots.
I'm large and in charge.
This isn't that. You don't call the shots. You don't.
I think God is quite capable of running the universe. It's done quite a good job. It's mankind that's the ones that's screwing it up. If they're the ones that are,
Don't blame God on anything.
Don't blame it on God.
Why does God make this? Why? Well, no. Look at people's actions.
It's the actions that are doing it. God has not done anything to you that you have not done to yourself. So that we'll leave it there. So
yeah. Okay.
Thank you for coming today and for sharing your experience.
Oh,
and may it continue to fall away.
And may it. I'm with you there. Really? But it is shifty, and yay, and just even the little bit of peace and some of the bliss. You just go. You're so grateful for, really.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not done. I'm when I started this, I knew I was going to keep going. I don't care what happened. I don't care. Take the body, take the mind, cut off all my limbs. I don't care.
That's
I'm
it.
finish this thing.
One has to be dedicated, and if you want to, again, if your heart is to help humanity, and your heart is to know God, and your heart is there, then this is the surrender one makes. This is the path one walks, and
the path of Christ.
It's the path of Christ and the path of Kali, and that's it.
Can't make it. You can't say yours is going to be easier, yours is going to be quicker, you're going to get out of this, you're going to traverse this.
Everybody thinks that when they get in that first little bliss mode.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah, look at this. I'm on top of the world. Right?
Exactly.
Look at what I'm able to do. It's so easy.
And the manifesting stage happens and all the drama happens. One hasn't even started.
Oh, my goodness.
Hasn't started to walk the path yet.
That was about 20 years ago here. So.
Oh, exactly. In the rah-rah stage.
Oh, yeah.
Where you've got a handle on everything.
And Kundalini opens and you are not in charge of that thing.
You are no longer in charge. So my suggestion at that point that you surrender fully to Kali and let her do what she needs to do.
You can play with the word if you want to. But
exactly. But you don't play with Kali.
No.
You're very stupid if you think you're going to play with Kali and you're going to get over on Kali. That's not going to happen.
It's a blessing. You're not always aware of these things, but it's a great blessing, that grace of Kali.
Exactly. Chopping those heads chopping the heads of egoic drama. And the delusion is not fun when it's happening, but I guarantee when it's done, you are so grateful. And just know that it is such a blessing that it has taken place.
I'm just grateful for this deepening and this shifting and quieting and slowing. I don't care if I'm just sitting there as a vacant thing for hours. It doesn't even matter.
It looks vacant. It's not
vacant.
Really,
so
it's
again,
not vacant.
And the way I say vacant, it's not there's no activity in their mind. That's really what I mean.
Right.
by
The
vacant. And
activity
I'll try
of
to
mind,
word that a
the
little
activity
better.
of mind has now slowed, and it is slowing down, and it's going
that's all
more
that
into
that
direct
means.
perception,
That's right.
direct cognition, direct consciousness versus a revolving mind spin
I would
of
take
activity.
that experience over the drama in a heartbeat.
A
That's
100%.
really, absolutely. So it's not, the way that I describe it, maybe since not being fully done, but those words, and I'm glad
words,
you
the words
make
are,
it so
it's
people
hard. It's very hard when you're going through it to try to
figure out the
evaluate
best
it,
way.
to try to figure out the words that correctly
Yeah.
would describe what's taking place, because it's really indescribable
Right.
to most of humanity's
Definitely.
experience.
And I mean vacant is a good thing. I mean empty is a good thing. Not that it has, in terms of nothing there.
Kind of like
nothing.
a vacant lot, a lot that's been cleared of all the obstructions and now
Empty,
ready to
and
build
all
on.
the play of life
Yeah.
can be
Right.
move through it, and there's
Right.
nothing obstructing it.
Right. Minus
that-
obstructions. We'll just put it that
that's
way.
a
Minus
better way to put it.
obstructions. Okay, it's cleared out and minus
That's right.
obstructions.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you, Kurt. You're always so good at that. I don't know if I will ever have that kind of articulation. You always have. You still do. I never have. I probably never will. I speak very simply.
I don't know. It'll come.
Maybe it's true.
It'll
Some things
come.
sometimes come that are surprising. They just come on their own. So
They
we
just
don't know.
they just
we
come.
Don't know.
They just come. It's not
What's
something
needed
again.
comes.
Same thing here. I don't sit and think about it. It's not that. It just comes
No, I
in
know you don't.
consciousness.
No, you
No. It just spontaneously comes in consciousness, and then once everything has fallen away and things start, coming forward, you'll find out the same thing. It just
just comes on its
spontaneously
own, and
comes
it's
through consciousness.
Well, that's pretty
Yes.
much like I say, how that writing came. A lot of what was written, and even the verbalizations too, it's like, what's being said? I don't know. It just comes.
Right, it
But-
just comes.
and they have meaning. And the writing, some of the words I even had to look up. I didn't know them
Exactly,
all,
and
but
it's
they
the same
came
thing.
out.
When it falls away, when everything falls away, that's what happened. It spontaneously
Understand.
comes
But
to
there's no line
consciousness.
there.
Exactly.
Too.
But there's nobody sitting there in ego
Plan.
looking it up.
Yes.
The dictionary and the dictionary turner is now gone.
Yeah. I looked up, so I was kind of in wonder of what does that totally mean. I didn't know, but then it's just it has its
Exactly.
own-
That cognition, everything comes forward. At that point, it's what I say, spontaneously,
Yes.
as needed, through direct consciousness versus mind spin and gathered collected information
Mhm.
about subjects.
Mm.
Okay. So,
Thank you. Thank you
namaste.
for being here.
Have a great day, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you.
Be blessed in all your spiritual paths.
Yes.
And may those that are in cults awaken to the fact they're in a cult,
Please.
so that they can come back and find a viable path to walk
Please.
to liberation
So good to see
rather than more confusion
Mhm.
and drama.
you. Yes.
So, namaste.
Namaste.